Friends, welcome back to my channel, Quilter Chris. My name is Kristen, and I'm so glad you're here. Today we are working on the dragon fruit block of the month. This is block 5. We do 4 of each of these blocks. They are paper pieced. And so I start with this one, and I do this one, and these two at the end. I do fast forward them because there have been the log cabin blocks this whole way through. You can see it in my other videos. So if you like this video, please give it a like and a subscribe. And thanks so much for watching. Dragon fruit block of the month. This is block 5. As you can see, we're using a bunch more fabrics this time than we have before. We're doing 4 different blocks that we're going to make 4 each of. This one they're calling the honeydew block. It is a log cabin with white and greens. This is they're calling the avocado block. This is the courthouse step with different shades of green. This is the plum block. It's another log cabin block with purples and the cream. And the huckleberry block, this is a square within a square, and it's using purples and pinks. So these are all the fabrics that we're using, and we're going to jump right in. This block is paper pieced, and I'm going to press my fabrics, and then we'll come back and we'll work on it. I usually like to go from what I feel is the easiest to the most difficult. So we're going to work on this one first, and then I think we'll probably do the courthouse steps, and then I'll speed through these log cabins since we've done them plenty of times before. Okay, thanks so much for watching. We're getting ready to make the square in the square for the dragon fruit block of the month. And I wanted to lay out what you'll need. So you'll need these papers. Make sure you don't get it confused with the economy block. We're doing the square in the square. It's very, very basic. It's just a square with the 4 triangles. So I got confused at first, so that's why I'm bringing that up. So you'll want your papers. If you're using the kit, you'll use these 3 fabrics. If not, you'll probably just want 3 different fabrics. You can refer to the pattern for the sizes. I did cut my square about a 1/4 inch bigger. It won't make a huge difference. I just like it because it gives me that little bit of wiggle room, but you can choose how to do it how you like. I have a sew line glue stick, and if you're low on them, you'll want your refills as well. Next, add a 1/4 rulers if you like using those. I have a short one and a long one. And then if you don't want to use those, then you can also use just a plain quilting ruler. This one I have is a Creative Grids ruler. It's about 2.5 by 10 inches. I use it all the time. And then you'll want your rotary cutter, and this is your reminder to change your blade. I hadn't changed my blade in a while, and I just now changed it. I was like, wow, it cuts so much better. So let's get started. This is a very straightforward block. And as usual, we don't put our fabric on the printed side. This is the side that we sew on. So the blocks are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to start with number 1. So our number 1 is this pink. So you flip it over, you take your glue stick, you put a little glue in the center, or however you want to do it, and then you lay the fabric centered on the paper. Now, I usually like to hold it up to the light to make sure, see, I put it sideways. I like to hold it up to the light to make sure I have it centered over my lines. And I do once I put it in the right direction. And then what I do is I go around and I stitch on this line to hold it down so I don't have to worry about it falling off. Some people don't like to do that because the thread can show. That is completely a personal preference, but that's how we're going to do it today. So I'm going to go and sew this on, and then I'll come back and show it to you. Okay, so we've gotten that all stitched on. I do want to point out, I'm not quite sure if you can see it. I'll try to get close up on the camera, but my stitches are not super parallel to the fabric. And when you're paper piecing, that doesn't matter. It's very beginner friendly. even though it seems like a lot with following the lines, we are going to have more than enough to trim it down and it still to fit great and our block to turn out great. Okay, so next is the 2 and 3 block. So I don't know that it really matters which one you put as 2 and 3, as long as you're consistent, like which one you put for 2 and 3 and which one you put as 4 and 5. I do believe that this one's 2 and 3 and this one's 4 and 5. So how we're going to do that is you take your add a quarter ruler and you lay it down and you line it up with this line and you bend the fabric and then you crease it. Easy enough. Then we take it, remember on this ruler we have, let me get it right, this lip here, right? So it slopes down, it comes up to a regular thickness, about 1/8 of an inch, and it comes up here, and that's how we set it to the fabric to get our 1/4 of an inch, or to the paper, like this, and it kind of locks it on. Then you take your ruler, or your rotary, and slide it over. There's your 1/4 of an inch of fabric. And we're going to do the same thing here, but I'm going to show you on a traditional quilting ruler. You're going to lay it down like this and line it up right here along the seam. You fold it, you can fold it the same way, but you're really going to, I'm using my fingernail and really pressing it here against the bottom of the paper. And then you can fold it down all the way, and I can feel those stitches where I sewed. Then, this is a Creative Grids ruler, so there's markings here for 1/4 of an inch. So I line it up here with this 1/4 of an inch section. And then I slide it off and cut my excess. And that takes care of 2 and 3. And this is going to be our 2 and 3. Now I flip it back over to the fabric side, and I'm going to take my glue stick. This will not gum up your needle. It goes on blue, dries clear. You can reposition after you set it on there if it's not quite right. Now I take this and I put some in the seam allowance. Just a little to hold on my fabric. I then take my fabric, put it right side down, wrong side up, lay it down, and I want to center it. I'm looking at these ends here and making sure they're about the same distance from the edge of the paper, pressing it down right on that glued edge. And then we will flip it and we'll sew it along here, right here. So I'm going to do that again on the other side so you can see it. This is our trimmed area. We take our glue stick, we put some just in the seam allowance. If you get it outside the seam allowance, it's not a big deal. It wipes off pretty easy. We take our triangle. In the pattern, it tells you to cut it in squares, and then you take the square and you cut it at an angle, and that's how you get the triangle. We have the right side up. We turn it around so the wrong side is up. We lay it down. We center it here so the same little bit of the corners are hanging off the paper. We press it down and we press in the seam allowance. Okay, we're going to go sew these 2 lines, then we'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so we've gotten these sewn on, and I had forgotten to mention you can use a roller like this. Sometimes there's plastic ones, this is wood. There's all different ones you can get. You can also just finger press right here. You can also take this to your iron. So we just press it down like that, and we can see what it's going to look like. Then we're going to flip it over, and we're going to do 4 and 5. Now I will say I did not cut these thinking about which way the stripes would go. If that matters to you, you can make sure that you cut it that way. I did not do that. Okay, so we have this upside down and we can see the paper. I'm taking our add a quarter ruler, laying it down, putting the edge with the slope right against the line, bending it over, pressing it. Then taking the ruler, turning it over so this lip right here will catch on the paper. Then taking my rotary and sliding it down. Flipping it again, making sure those triangles are flat out, and we're going to do it again. Take this one, flip it, fold it, flip over the ruler, and there we are. Okay, so just like before, we're going to get our scraps out of the way. We're going to take our glue stick right here, and we're going to put that in our seam allowance. Just like that. You could put it up here if you wanted to on this other print. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take one of the triangles, lay it down, make sure I center it around the how much is hanging off the edge of the fabric, and press it down. If I got it wrong, I can lift it up and do it again. It'll go right back. Okay? Then we flip it around. We do the same thing right here. Take this, lay it down, press it with your fingers, and we are all good to go. And then we're going to flip the paper over and sew it on these lines. And I will come back and show it to you. Okay, so we've gotten our square all completed. The next thing is to trim it up. And so as you can see, mine's a little bit bigger than the paper. We don't trim on this innermost line. We trim on this exterior line where the gray meets the white. So we will do that very quickly. Okay, so ours is all trimmed up. We trimmed it up on this line here where the gray meets the white. And it looks all good. We just need to make 4 of these for this month's block of the month. So I'll make the other 3, and then we'll come back and do the courthouse step. So we finished these blocks. We have 4 of them. They're all trimmed, cut, ready to go. Next, we're going to do the courthouse steps. And I just wanted to point out real quick, because sometimes when you're in a hurry or you're going fast, it's easy to get these confused. So these are the courthouse steps. The way I realized that they're courthouse steps versus the log cabin is the courthouse step will have 1, 2, 3. And the log cabin just has 1 and 2 here in the center. So we're doing courthouse steps. It'll have the 1, 2, 3 in the middle. If you're following along with the block of the month and you have the kit, you'll need 4 of these papers. They're 6.5. They finish at 6, or when we put them together, they're 6 inches. These, you'll need 2 fabrics. There's about a fat quarter of each of these, and we have them all trimmed to what they need to be. This is what I have left over of my fat quarters, so you'll probably need a little bit less. I have my glue stick, my rotary cutter, the add a quarter ruler, a roller, but you can just finger press or use your iron. You don't need to do this. Glue stick refills if you need them, and your fabric. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so I like to look over this and you have kind of a map of the block. This is the block we're working on. That's the avocado block. It's a courthouse step. The center, the number 1, is going to be green, and then all these around will be the green and yellow. Then the next circle is just the green, and then finally with the green and yellow. So this is also pretty straightforward, but we'll do it together, and it will be easy peasy. I do want to say, it is also possible to do these without paper piecing. Paper piecing just helps with the accuracy, and it helps your fabric from getting stretched out. Okay, so to begin, remember the printed side is the side we sew on. The blank side is the side that we put our fabric on. So we take our handy dandy glue stick And again, you can use pins if you want to. Here's the number 1. We're going to put our glue there on the number 1. You can hold it up to the light and you should be able to see that. Then we put our square here, the dark green. We're going to hold it up to the light, make sure that that it's within our boundaries that we want. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew around this. And you don't have to do that part. You can go straight to sewing 1 and 2 together, but this is how I like to do it. So we'll sew around it and then we'll come back. Okay, so we've gotten it sewn on. Mine's a little off center. This won't hurt it. We're going to leave it like this, but I will trim this little bit so we have less bulk. So we'll just take our ruler and fold it over and trim this up a little bit. Okay, easy peasy. So 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all going to be this color. So that's pretty easy. This is the side we're working with 2. Gonna use our glue stick because these pieces are still tiny. I just put some in the seam allowance. Right side down, wrong side up. So it's right sides together. Press it down, and then we just take it and sew it down. For piece 3, a little glue stick in the seam allowance. Take our piece of fabric, right side down. Press it down. We can go a little further because that one was a little short. And we just press that. We're going to flip it over and stitch on this side. Okay, here we have these complete. You can finger press. You can take the roller to get it a little flat. So these next 2 pieces, 4 and 5, they're going to use the same size, the smaller strips, right here. So you're just going to flatten that out. This one's a little long, but I'm just going to leave it. And we can do both of these at the same time if we want. We just take our glue stick and we put a little in the seam allowance. And we're going to lay it flat like this. And if you wanted to, you could glue this one at the same time. I'm just going to do it one at a time to avoid confusion. And then we're going to sew it on right here. Okay, and we're back. We have the center done. We're going to do the same thing right around here. 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and we'll probably just speed this up. Okay, so we've gotten these 2 done. That is 6 and 7. We need to do 8 and 9. So we've gotten this done. Finger press it, use your roller, take it to the iron, whatever you prefer. The little project irons are perfect for this because 10 and 11. Okay, so we finished with these. I'm going to trim this up, 12 and 13. So we finished piecing this. So our next step is to trim it up. And on the back, it will tell you. So there's two lines here. We're not going to do it on the first one. That's our sew line. This is our trim line. You can see here it's gray. So when it goes between the gray and the white, that's where we're going to trim. Okay, and it's all good. I think it's so pretty. All right, so you do 3 more of these for the block, and then we'll do the log cabin. Okay, so the last blocks we're going to do are these log cabin blocks. Here we have the green and the purple. And what are you going to need? You're going to need your fabric. So for the green, it's these 2 greens and the white. For the purple, it's these 2 purples and the white. We also have our add a quarter plus rulers. I have 2 sizes because they came as a set. I have a roller, but you can also use your fingers or the iron. I have the sew line glue stick and some refills, just in case you need extra. I have my rotary cutter, and I have a quilting ruler to trim things up. So let's get started. You're going to need, these use the same paper. You're going to need 4 of each. Right now we're just going to do the green one and show you the basics. Remember, we sew on the side with the print and we put our fabric on the back. So I've already used the glue stick and I put it on the back. You hold it up to the light to make sure it's where you want it. Then I'm going to stitch around the 1 and then we'll come back and we'll put the number 2 piece. So we finished this block. We just need to trim it up and probably press it. Again, you have the gray. It says trim on this line between the gray and the white, and that's where we're going to trim it. So now we're going to work on our last block. It's a log cabin. It's white and purple. Here are the purples cut out. And again, this is light and dark. So this is where our white print's going to go. These are where our purple print's going to go. We're going to use the add a quarter rulers, rotary cutter, glue stick, sew line glue stick, roller, quilting ruler, and we have our fabrics cut out. So let's get started. So in the middle is going to go our dark purple. Again, we sew on the number side, but we put our fabric on the blank side. gotten the purple one all done. So I'll go and make the rest of these for the block, and then we will sew them together. These are our blocks all put together, the one that we just worked on. I really like how this point came on. Then these are our previous blocks, all in a row. All right, it looks really good. Thanks so much for watching. You've just watched my block 5 for the dragon fruit block of the month. This is a paper piece pattern with fabric by Tula Pink. If you gained anything from this video, I would love a like. Please hit that subscribe button if you want to see more tutorials and videos like this. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye now.